Well, public health officials pushing back tonight against two California urgent care doctors making their case for reopening America. In a statement, the American College of Emergency Physicians and the American Academy of Medicine condemning the doctors' online comments in a wildly popular YouTube video viewed nearly 5.5 million times, but it's now taken down. The group said this: the reckless and untested musings are inconsistent with current science and epidemiology regarding COVID-19. Joining us now, one of those doctors, Dr. Dan Erickson, co-owner of Accelerated Urgent Care in Bakersfield. Also joining us, Avik Roy, president of the Foundation for Research on Equal Opportunity. Good to have you both with us, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, so those two groups, Dr. Erickson, that were slamming you, and I watched the entire video. It's very thought-provoking. People need to do their research. They need to look at all kinds of data. You guys were offering your opinion, your set of data. They went on to say this, that it appears these two individuals are releasing biased, non-peer-reviewed data to advance their personal financial interests without regard for the public's health. And you addressed this in the video. You were asked about whether you guys have a financial interest in making sure that your clinics stay open, that people show up. You addressed that. Would you like to respond to these groups that have condemned what you said?
Sure. What you have to realize is we live in a town of 900,000 people, and we were doing the majority of testing. We were doing about probably 40 to 50% of the testing, and media called me and said, "Can you please share your results with us?" They said, how many positives do you have? How many are you testing? I said, well, why don't we get together and there was 3 different networks. I said, here's our raw data. The raw data is we had tested about 5,213 at the time of that video, and we had about 340 positive, which is 6.5%. So I was giving them raw data. It was not a biostatistical analysis. It was not peer reviewed, and we didn't say that it was. It was merely raw data, because they said, what kind of an outbreak are we having? I said, well, let me give you my raw data. And they said, can you extrapolate that? I said, well, it extrapolates out to 6.5% of our testing. And if you did extrapolate it out, you'd have a lot more cases than we're predicting are happening right now.
Okay, so the video has been taken down by YouTube. Senator Ted Cruz, tweeting us about that, says, YouTube and Google should not have the power to censor speech, particularly on critical issues of concern. The doctor's views here aren't frauds. If YouTube disagrees, argue on the merits. Don't abuse monopoly power and special congressional liability immunity to become speech police. Have you gotten any explanation about why the video was taken down and whether it may come back?
No, but I'd like to educate YouTube about herd immunity and how the best way to get us there. That's really what I want to pivot to, because when we look at Sweden, Dr. Giseki, their state epidemiologist, we see that their model has been really effective, and it's supported the economy and supported the citizens medically at the same time. So I've read everything I can about them. I think YouTube would realize once we get the economy going, and we get people safely back to work, it will be better for them. And so really the herd immunity is really the main thing. How do we get herd immunity, that 50 to 70% mark where the disease is controlled and we can get back to work? And so that's what I've been focusing on, because the epidemiologists are saying this is the key. Herd immunity is how you get rid of the virus.
Okay, and we'll circle back to a little bit of this, but Avik, I want to bring you in here because you wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal that you said we have to think about reopening the U.S. economy. Even if we don't get to all of these benchmarks, you said we must consider options for reopening the economy in a world in which we have not completely controlled the COVID-19 pandemic. Instead of thinking up creative ways to force people to stay home, we should think hard every day about how to bring more people back to work. And you have very specific steps. They sound measured, not rash to me. I'm no epidemiologist. But Avik, what's the response to what you've proposed?
I mean, the response has been overwhelming. It turns out that there's an enormous reservoir of people who are eager to get back to work, who understand the risks, want to be safe for themselves and for their relatives and for their neighbors, but want to be prudent. And the fact is, we know a lot about this virus. We know a lot about how this virus is transmitted. We know a lot about who actually dies and gets really sick from COVID-19. It's predominantly the elderly and the other people with chronic cardiovascular conditions. So what about the young? What about kids? Kids generally don't seem to get sick, and in many cases the evidence is they're not even getting infected. Let's let kindergartners, grade schoolers, primary and secondary school students go back to school where it's appropriate, where they're not living with elderly or at-risk individuals. Let's let young people get back to work, and we're starting to see states do this. Today we heard from California where they're actually thinking about opening the next school year early to make up for lost time, I think that's one of the things that could actually pave the way for a reopening of the economy more broadly.
All right, very quickly, because I want to hear from both of you. Yes or no, do you think that we'll be able to meet in the middle somewhere? Because people make this a very binary choice. It's either got to save people's lives or we've got to save the economy. Quick comment from you, Ovik, and then from you, Doctor.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point of our argument, right? It's not a matter of lockdowns forever or let her rip. There are a lot of prudent steps we can take to reopen the economy today that a lot of states have been overly cautious about doing. And that's what was great about what Dr. Erickson was pointing out, is that we know that a lot of people are getting infected but don't have a lot of symptoms, aren't getting sick, aren't at risk of death. Let's let them get back to work.
Okay, quick comment from you, Doctor.
Yeah, I agree on a stepwise approach. This is what Dr. Giesecke, the state epidemiologist, recommends from Sweden. He compared it to a ladder. So he said, for the United States, you need to open up schools, kids age 16 and under, let them come in first because I agree, the disease for them is fairly mild, and then see how the society does. Our hospitals are definitely ready for a surge, even if it happens.
Yeah, Novik, I will point out in your piece, you said, listen, kids who are living in a home with somebody who is high risk, whether they're compromised in some way or they're older, maybe they don't come back to school right away. I mean, there are a lot of nuances to what both of you are proposing. You've got critics, so thanks for coming to answer some of them tonight. Dr. Ovik, good to have you both.
Yeah,
Up next, a debate